Good morning, traders. It is Thursday, January 26, 2023. We had some news this morning at around 8:30 Eastern. I thought it was going to move the market a lot more. That's right around here. Right around there, that bar there. Didn't move that much. Shot down and then worked its way back up, recovered all that, and hit new highs. I don't know what today's going to bring. Looks a little weird to me. While this seems to my eye a pretty orderly uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, all that sort of thing, but these EMAs, for the most part, are like trailing right through the middle. Not a lot of clean bounces off of the EMAs. Seems like they spike through a lot. But maybe that's just, that's on the 2000 tick. On the 1 minute, let's see here. Yeah, still, they're spiking through the 9. I guess the 21 held okay for the most part. We'll see. I don't know. This is my first glance at it from the overnights. But we'll see. All right, so market's going to open up in about 5 minutes. I'm going to go get some coffee, and I will be back for the open. I am back. Oh, my headphones are way too loud. This is the same soundtrack you hear on every other streamer's site, but your choices are somewhat limited when you are looking for free stuff to play. All right, well, I don't know what kind of levels that we're dealing with today. Let's take a look, see if we can find anything that looks interesting. Had a pretty good run up overnight, it looks like. We're up or almost 0.75% already. I guess that has something to do with the Tesla news. They had good profits. I think it was an all-time high for their profits. They've been beat up pretty good, though, over the last year or so. I don't know. Buy time? Who knows? Oops, I gotta get rid of my banner there. I might get the hang of this streaming one of these days. Who knows? We'll find out, though. Market is now open. We do have some news at the top of the hour, 10 o'clock Eastern. I think that was new home sales or something like that. Let's take a look. Thursday, new home sales. Yep, that's at the top of the hour, so we'll be watching that. I was watching Mac the other day, and I noticed that he did something that I thought was pretty clever, even though maybe is obvious, is you just take a rectangle and you go, you know, a couple minutes before, let's say 5 minutes, and you just draw yourself a do not trade zone. I thought that was a pretty good idea. Then I don't have to worry about watching the clock and whatnot. So I'll say like 5 after. Oops. To learn how to use the tool. There you go. So there's our no trade zone. Thought that was pretty clever. After years of doing this, it never occurred to me to do that. Good old Mac. Where would we be without Mac? PriceActionTradingSystem.com. I like watching his videos, but they do tend to have a rear view mirror look at the market. He takes it after the fact and he marks up the chart for the day, and tells you this would have been a good trade, this would have been a good trade. So I guess it's a pretty decent training video, but in the heat of the moment, I don't know if you'd identify those. A lot of them are caught pretty deep in minutia, one tick trades that you would have had to respond to, but it basically is following the same teachings as Al Brooks, and they're all sort of derivatives of Al Brooks, I guess, including like Tom Wade and Bye Bye Money. They're all kind of derivatives of the two-legged pullback, which is interestingly to me is like just one of 100 different things that Al Brooks teaches. It always fascinates me. I guess it's because it's simple to identify and learn, but it's interesting that so many people have leached onto the two-legged pullback out of all the things that Al Brooks teaches. It must just be because of the simplicity and the ease of identifying those with a little practice. Of course, the real challenge is the context in which to take those trades. But they're basically, some guys would just simply wait for a pull back to, like, say, the 9 and just take the first entry. It seems like it's pretty effective to do it that way, but I guess the two-legged pullback, somebody has done back testing on that and feels that the second pullback is a higher percentage than any of the first ones. I have to say, I somewhat argue that it's not so much the second pullback that's important, but the context of the price action leading up to that pullback. Because if you get a nice run one way or the other, and then an orderly pullback to the 9 or the 21, that's a pretty strong trade, whether it's a first entry or second entry or whatever, in my humble opinion. All right, let's see where we're going from here. It looks a lot closer to this than it really is, doesn't it? We still got 25 minutes to get into this thing. Of course, now that I've drawn it, that's all I can think about is how much time there is until there's news. I don't even know if is it considered high impact? Let's see. No, new home sales, medium impact. You can get that information pretty much anywhere. I usually use this Forex Factory, but there's a million places that you can find. Some guys use something called Financial Juice and Market Watch, CNBC. I think there's a calendar on there too. So it really doesn't matter where you get that information, but you really should have it. Actually, Mac has a neat one that he has right up here in real time, but I don't feel like I need to clutter up my screen with it, but it's pretty neat. Pretty lackluster activity right now. Here's our range here at the moment. Value area. Here's our what do you call it? Whatever. I'm sorry. I did not get enough sleep last night. I shouldn't even be trading because my mind is going slower than it normally does. Boy, that was a nice wick on this one. That was a good reaction off of this pivot point, which also was right up against this 21 EMA. So big though, where would you have gotten in on that? I guess you could have reacted to this little doji bar here. I need a bigger time it's the 15 minute. Let's see is there anything? There's not a lot to the left here. Yeah, we've passed through a lot of stuff here. And maybe I'm looking at a DOM over to the left, and it looks like there's some area of interest up here at 70 on the DOM. So that would be resistance for a while. If it were to break through it, we might be able to get something, but I don't think I'd want to go long into that though, unless that they pull those orders. Hold on for a second here, and I'm gonna have to. I just noticed I don't have my trade copier set up with anything right now. So if I were to take a trade, it would have been all simulated. Let me see what I want to do here. So. Okay, that looks set up correctly. These wicks are starting to form here, so maybe we do want to head up into that 70s. But like I said, on my DOM, right or wrong, there's a lot of orders sitting here on the DOM, sell orders, so that's gonna stop us for a while at least. I wouldn't want to buy into it, I wouldn't think. But if we can break through it, looks like we might be clear till about at least 75. See what the NAS is doing. Might get a value area flip here at some point. We're right at the top of it. Even the point of control is like right at the top of the... Yeah, I'm not surprised that rejected that area. A lot of volume came in on the NASDAQ. These bubbles that NinjaTrader creates, it always is weird to me. Like, they'll turn green. I should check to see if I have them backwards. I seem like the color of them is opposite of the direction. Like, I believe this is supposed to show volume, and the color shows in what direction that volume was. But you can see this thing lit up green and a gigantic bubble as it came down. So I think I might have, maybe I have something set wrong, or I don't completely understand that indicator. But that NAS really sold down here, didn't it? It looks like ES is following. In a bit of a situation here, though. I don't really think traders would be waiting for those new home prices or whatever the hell, the new home sales. It doesn't seem like a big enough deal to hold us up from trading. I mean, maybe this chop has nothing to do with that. Volume came in when it hit the 21, which is also the pivot point. So you might be able to get a couple points out of that if we traded it. These are just pivot lines. You can in NinjaTrader, it's just one of the indicators. Pivot point, pivot point, pivot point. I think what I might try to start doing, maybe I might even mess with it today, is I'm going to try to break my my live stream that got posted, which is what, an hour and a half long. I'm going to try to break it down into a 5-minute, 10-minute video, and then post that, so that I have been trying to mark the timestamp the trades, but maybe it would be more helpful to people if I actually produced a short video I don't really have much video editing experience, but I could probably throw that together pretty easy. It's basically just cutting out the stuff that has nothing to do with the trades. Yeah, that's selling off here. But you can kind of guess it because you can see that 70 there was a lot of sellers, but even we're up the top of the value area, and the point of control is way too close to the top, you know, so you would expect it to pull back and bring that point of control back down into the middle, which I suspect that this will flip eventually. Have a low volume node right here that it seems like it's starting to eat away at. Maybe heading down to the bottom of the value area. So this is my VWAP, I think. Yep. Oh, is that right? Yeah, VWAP. There it is. I used to like to just always play the VWAP. It's a pretty good trade, but it's not like a 5-point trade in my opinion. I would always take it for a point or two, but you know, you figure that's a quick $50. If you got 5 accounts, it's $250 for a 1-point move. Yeah, that already moved 5 points. Man, these bars are bigger than they look. That's just from the VWAP to where we're at now is 5 points. That happens to me a lot because I'll be watching the pre-market and my mind gets accustomed to the size of the bars. Like, okay, well, that's a 1-point bar, 1-point bar. And then we get into the regular trading hours and I still got the same configuration in my brain where, okay, that's about 1 point, and it turns out that's like 5 points. I'm also working on putting together a system where I'm actually broadcasting myself on a camera, but I have mixed feelings about that just because like I tend to get up and look pretty just out of bed-ish and then to have to go live, but I don't know that anybody gives a crap if my hair is messy. Maybe I can get an avatar like the panda guy. There's another guy that's like some kind of bear with a Hawaiian shirt. I could be that guy. What kind of avatar should I use? What kind of trading animal would I like to be? Maybe I'll be a lion. I'll be the lion guy. Still working our way down. If you're just tuning in, this bar I put here is kind of a no trade zone just because of news at the top of the hour. It's not high impact news, it's just new home sales, considered to be a medium impact. Drop below the 50s. Yeah, I'm just looking at the DOM. I'm not really that affected by the DOM because they'll, you know, it seems like orders get put up there. You'll see, oh, look at all these big buy orders, and it's like before it gets there, the bank or whatever, the big fund that put that order there pulls it. I don't know if this is a just a pullback. We're generally positive. We could throw some lines up here. That doesn't fit well at all. Let's try it from the top. Remove. All right, let's see. Let's maybe try it from the top this time. Where? Around here somewhere. Then pull it back to here. Gonna have to extend it to the left. And oops, that's not what I want to do. Yeah, no matter how I draw it, this is dropping out of the bottom. So is that an overshoot to the bottom? A breakout, fail, new high? Who knows? That's what those two-legged pullback guys say, the price action guys. Break of trend, looking for a new high at some point. Of course, you have to be sure you even have the right trend. I don't know how confident I am in that. This could be breaking down completely, but be wary here because we have a double bottom and then this huge wick here. But this was the news, so I guess we missed that short. I guess we missed that short, didn't we? So is this just a pullback? I mean, that's a pretty aggressive pullback. Yeah, even on the NAS here, we're breaking through everything. Broke through VWAP. All the EMAs. A little bit of resistance at the value area low. Don't forget to hit that like button if you got nothing better to do. I'd appreciate it. I guess that does something in the long run. I don't know. Maybe it puts it in front of a few extra people. Yeah, everything about this looks bearish, doesn't it? I don't know if you guys see something I don't, but right now I am completely unclear as to where we're going. And now we're getting close enough to the top of the hour that I'm hesitant to jump in a trade until we get those. And again, not that it's high impact, but if you're in a trade with a couple point stop, all it has to do is make it flinch and it'll stop you out. So you're better off just staying out of it, I think. It is looking bearish, boy. This isn't even getting back up to the 9 EMA or VWAP or anything. And for whatever it's worth, look at this MACD. Lots of down volume. I don't know why these times don't line up. $55. Yeah, it looks like the bars don't line up with the time on the bottom here. I had a real-time clock on this screen before I changed computers, and I never put it back. I'll try to work on that this afternoon so that you have my clock on the screen so you can gauge what kind of delay you have. I have it set to the minimum on my end, but there's still going to be some inherent lag just because of the internet in general. And YouTube may even add some in there, I don't know. But if it's more than, once I put that clock up there, if you're getting more than 5 seconds, then probably just go to 2x mode until it catches up and see what that does for you. Yeah, now we're breaking through the value area. It's pretty heavy. Figures that this would happen right before the news. We're gonna We'll hold off on trading until after 10 o'clock Eastern. Let's see what those numbers do. My guess it's going to be of limited movement, but again, even if a few points when you're in a trade makes a difference. I'm trying to look at this and see how I could have taken advantage of this. And I'm just not seeing it other than just a blind breakout from the bottom. I don't know. If you watched yesterday, you see that ended up basically flat. But after the live stream, I did take one trade that was about I think it was a 5-pointer, and then I called it a day. So I ended the day up 250 on 2 accounts, so it was about $500. That news is coming up right now. There's 9 o'clock. Does it do anything? Not much. Just a little bit of fluctuation. Let's see what the news came out. Let's see what the numbers were. Thursday, new home sales. They were slightly higher than expected. 616,000 versus 610,000. The problem is that what the Fed's looking for is a weakening economy to know that they should stop lowering interest rates. And if the economy doesn't show any sign of weakening, they're going to just keep raising the interest rates. And if that happens, then that's theoretically bad news. So it would drive the market down. But I think that one was pretty benign. That was pretty, it was just a little bit better than expected. But you see, basically he's doing nothing. All right, so now maybe we can start thinking about some real trades if we get decent, a decent setup, whatever that might look like. This looks pretty bearish, so we probably are going to be looking for a short along the way here somewhere. See, this area here is just all night's been in a range right here, which is exactly where we're at now. It's funny, overnight you have this movement from, you know, up here somewhere down to here, and look at the number of bars, you know, between here and here. And that's like 1 bar worth of movement during the regular hours here. I think we're done with this. We'll get rid of that. Just kind of chopping here. Yeah, it seems like it's kind of ripping here, isn't it? Will the ES follow? Yeah, NAS is moving right along here, above the 21 EMA. It's a low volume node here that ES is struggling with at the moment. A lot of orders in here. Maybe we'll get through there and work our way up. Or do we just flush? This bearish activity never really pulled that far away from the 9 EMA, so I'm not interested in this trade. Our typical follow-through trade where we get our bearish run down, nice orderly pull up into the 9, and then we take it short below this bar, but this just wasn't that impressive. Certainly not a five points, I wouldn't think. That would be all the way down to 34. I'm sorry, from, let's call it 40-ish down to 35. It's just not a clean looking setup to my eye. I set up the what do they call it? Some kind of Nightbot. I set up Nightbot. I thought it was going to automatically start sticking up stuff up here. I think they said if I type in like exclamation point. Where's my keyboard here? Exclamation point commercial. See if that does anything. No, it didn't. It just put up what I told it to. I guess I don't understand how that works. Sorry guys, whole lot of nothing going on here. Even the orders on the DOM are kind of spread out here. All the way from anywhere from 42 down to 30. It's just pretty consistent. Maybe a breakout below here. Don't know. Maybe below 30 we have an opportunity for a short. Still just chopping around here. What do you think? We break out of this range, we can pick up a nice move down. We are below all the EMAs. Hopefully they're starting to fan out a little bit. Looked like NASDAQ was going to, is that NASDAQ? NASDAQ was going to break out here, and it just immediately reversed off of, what is this, my 100 EMA? What is that? Yeah, 105. That's the 21 EMA on the 5-minute. Some volume on a NASDAQ popped up there. Might be looking possibly for a nice measured move from, like, say here. Something like that, maybe. That'd be a hell of a move all the way down to 40.15. All right, I got to take a bio break. I'll be back in a couple minutes. All right, I'm back. And nothing happened. Now, you could keep playing this back and forth for as long as it lasts, but I'm always worried that, like right here, you'd consider going short here at the top of this range, and that would be just in time for it to break out. Yeah, see, that would... Oops, I just hit the microphone, sorry. That would have been... I would have gone short at the top of this range and breaks out. Right up into the VWAP. That's not what I wanted. I think this pink one might be the 200. No, that's a 50. Why is it pink? It's weird. That's a 50 EMA. That's just sort of my indicator for possible longs and shorts. I do like this just sort of blind short right off of these, not waiting for any pullback. Just go short right at the 21 VWAP area. Nothing's clear to me today, I guess, because I didn't see this reversal either. Getting back to the top of that value area. Shot right through this low volume node here. I think that might be a new high on the day on the NAS. No, not even close. Never mind. The high is way up here at 76. Looks like a nice W pattern on the NASDAQ. Pull back. Downtrend, pull back, double bottom, up we're going. At least that's what I guess it sort of looks like that on the ES too. This is the 1 minute, and we're looking at 3 minute. Let's go back to the 1 minute. Yeah, I guess that looks pretty good. For whatever it's worth, maybe we're going to get a MACD cross here somewhere along the line. Maybe we'll wait for this to pull up and then get a nice pullback and then go long. Nothing seems obvious to me today. Seems really sluggish too, doesn't it? If you look back at the chart, these seem like pretty nice moves, but I don't know. Look at the way this thing just ticking. Even this value area is getting tighter and tighter. Maybe we break through this pivot point, maybe. If you don't mind hitting that like button, I'd appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that and hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when I go live in the mornings. We are trading very basically risk-free here with our Apex funded trader account. If you would like to try it out, use my code. It's in there somewhere on the screen. I think it's in the description. Use that code at their website and pick yourself up an account half off with that code. And your risk will never be more than the cost of that monthly fee. You can lose that in one trade. I usually trade the 50Ks, which have a $2,500 drawdown, but you can go down to a 25K, which is has a $1,500 drawdown. It'll cost you less, but you only have a $1,500 drawdown. But you can go up all the way up to like a 300K, which I think has something like a 9,000. Yet a goal of 9,000, and maybe has a $5,000 drawdown or something like that. Just look on their website; it'll explain the whole thing to you. If you have any questions, of course, you can either put them in the chat or email them to me. While I may not know everything there is to know about trading, I know a lot about these prop firms, that's for sure, especially Apex. But they all basically have the same rules, but slight nuances. All right, this is starting to look kind of interesting for a breakout, doesn't it? Maybe above this pivot. A lot of resistance due to this pivot point here. I'd like to play this breakout, but I'm afraid it's going to be a fake out and then reverse it right back down again. You would think that maybe we'd be good up to the highs. If we got in, say, at 62, ride it up to 67 or so, take our 5 points, maybe. I'm just keeping my measured move lines up here. I don't even know if they're valid anymore. All these EMAs are right on top of each other here. Definitely struggling at that 60. Pivot point here. I do think if we have a convincing break above this, we could see a movement to the high of the day. This bar is kind of big, but actually I should have been on the 1 minute. This was actually pretty nice. higher high, higher high. And we had this little bar here that did not be a higher high. But we did have a nice rejection twice off of this 9 EMA. Could have gone long right on the top of this bar here. That was not a second entry on that one, on the 2000. This here, even though it never actually touched the 20, but it was pretty close. But that is only a first entry. Yeah, still struggling with that pivot point here. EMAs aren't giving us much direction anymore because they're all bunched up together, kind of getting flattened out here. They'll kind of fan out when we have a definitive direction. You see, as this thing dove down, they spread it out. Starting to get some pretty decent wicks here. Maybe we are setting up, getting some volume in here. Maybe a break above this pivot point. Maybe we'll at least get back up to the top of the high here. I think this is the high of the day, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah. I don't know how much room to give it past this pivot point before we jump in and try to pick up 5 points. $61.25 would be a tick above that bar. We do have a pivot high right here. That is, so 61. I think I will give that a shot. I hope it's not just a boredom trade. What am I doing here? 61.